Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, we're gonna break down the best tips and tricks for visiting Disney's California Adventure Park. So, as always, I'm very excited. Let's go get started. Tip and trick number one when visiting Disney's California Adventure, and that would be make sure to arrive early. Now there's a couple different ways that you can kind of go about tackling your days here at the parks. Our honest recommendation would be based on how many days you have, right? If you have a couple of days, then you could take your time. Most guests will come over to Carsland and try to get the main ride over here out of the way. However, if you have only one day, our honest suggestion would be to possibly do an individual lightning lane over at Carsland, and then you can go and you can get on either Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Breakout, or you can go over to Pizar Pier and go on Toy Story Mania and the EPCOT coaster. Again, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about the individual lightning lanes. My honest opinion on the best way to tackle this park in one day would be to upgrade to the individual lightning lane. If you have 2 days, then sure, come over to Carsland. However, when rope dropping, most families are coming here, so be prepared for at least a 45-minute wait. However, as you can see though, if you can go and you can get on Toy Story Mania or Incredicoaster, get those out of the way, there is a benefit of rope dropping. Same thing with Mission Breakout. You're gonna wanna go on that ride at least twice. So that's why we say to take advantage, get here as early as possible, and just get the most out of your day. All right, so another great tip and trick when visiting Disney's California Adventure Park, and you're gonna see this might be an obvious one, and this might be an obvious one for a couple of different sections, but for this one, we're niching it down specifically for Carsland. So if you do have Cars fans in your family, you're definitely gonna wanna be sure to come over to Disney's California Adventure Park. Now, there's a couple things that make this land very, very unique. In my opinion, this is by far the most themed land in both parks, right? And I think that the attention to detail is really, really cool, and that in itself is amazing. But when we start breaking it down, when we look at the rides, this land by far has one of the most popular rides in Disney's California Adventure, which is Radiator Springs. If you're trying to get on that ride very, very quickly, you can try to rope drop, but in my opinion, the best way to do it is to do an individual lightning lane for that ride. But also, again, staying on point with the rides, it does have 2 other rides that are really geared towards kids, so it's a great area to come and to just kind of hang out, get those rides out of the way. So another really, really cool thing about Carsland is going to be the food. So right behind me we have the Cozy Cone Motel, and the most amazing thing about this section of the park is it's kind of just a bunch of different food. So you have popcorn, you have churros, you have ice cream, you have food in a essentially big pizza cone. So you have to come check it out if you're a foodie. I will say again, it's very important to have the Disneyland app because you will have to mobile order a lot of the food, specifically in this corner. There is another main restaurant here though, where it is quick service, so you can definitely, hop around, come with an appetite because you'll want to try a bunch of different things. And then last but not least, another really cool thing that goes on in Carsland is at night, there is a big transition over, and of course, everything around me will light up. By far one of my favorite places to be in all of Disneyland at night, but if you can make it to this section specifically around sunset and see the transition over, it's really, really cool. So another really, really important tip when visiting Disney's California Adventure, and for this one we have be aware of the things going on around the holidays. Specifically, we have Halloween, and then we go over to Christmas. So sticking with Halloween, you do have to be prepared that there is a private ticketed event here in the parks. It is called Oogie Boogie Bash, and it is extremely popular. So if you know that you would like to go to this Halloween party, be sure to understand when tickets will get released, and you do have to really be, in the queue to get your tickets the morning of. I will say that, right? When you start to look at everything going on in the parks for that event, it's really, really cool. Kind of similar to Mickey's Not So Scary, but in my opinion, I think it's a little bit better. You'll have, trick-or-treat trails. Essentially, there will be Halloween decorations everywhere. And of course, over in Carsland, it is decked out to the nines. So be familiar with that. And then moving over to Christmas and the holidays, right? Disney California Adventure Park also gets some Christmas decorations. They do, same thing as Disneyland, they do go over the top. Really, really cool vibes. So be sure to check that out if you are visiting really, kind of end of November through December. This one is specifically if you have Pixar fans in your family. Now, one of the reasons why we're mentioning this is because I feel like a lot of families, when they think of Disneyland, think of Disneyland Park, right? But if you skip California Adventure, you're going to be skipping one of the coolest areas in all of Disneyland, and that is Pizar Pier. Pizar Pier themed after the movies, right? It has some of the most popular rides in California Adventure, such as the Incredicoaster, has Toy Story Midway Mania, which is similar to Walt Disney World. We also have the Wheel of Death, as some people call it, right behind me. But as you can see, now that I pivoted, it's just a really, really cool area, a really cool area for Pixar fans, and something we definitely think that you should not skip, and a real reason to come here at night. I also will say that Pizar Pier in particular at night is one of my favorite vibes in all of the Disney parks, right? The California sunset behind me with the wheel, chef's kiss, right? So that's something that you want to come and experience as well. Don't skip the World of Color, which is the nightly show. So there's a couple of tips and tricks that kind of go into, making sure you don't skip this show. First would be make sure that you're familiar that there is a virtual queue that actually releases at noon, which will allow you kind of like a reserved seating sort of spot, right? And from our experience, it is some of the best seating for this show. The other ways that you can get a better view of the show is to upgrade to a possible dining package. Right now, at the time of the recording of this video, there's actually 2 restaurants that have a dining package, and you can also do the World of Color dessert party. The other cool thing, taking it one step further, is that sometimes, specifically in the summer or during the busier times of year, there will be 2 nightly shows for World of Color. So the other tip and trick is typically the first show, most popular, are going to be a little bit more crowded. Second show usually is less crowded, and you have a better chance of getting a better spot. All right, so the next tip and trick when visiting Disney's California Adventure, and I'm in the back over here near Grizzly River Run, and this one I'm actually picking up on the fly. It's very, very shaded back here. So right between the, the exit over here at Grizzly River Run and between Disney's Grand California Adventure Park, there's a lot of trees. There's a lot of trees, is no other way to put it. But because of that, I'm in the shade, and as the time of recording this video, it's August of 2023. Not only is it shaded back here, but it's quiet. The front of the park is packed, jam-packed, right? So if you're looking for just a quiet place to get out of the sun, just kind of cool off a little bit, definitely come back here. I would say the ride is down right now, but I would say more so if you look behind me, over near the entrance over to Disney's Grand Californian, it's going to be quiet over there, right? So just keep that in mind, take advantage of it if you're looking to get out of the heat. So another tip for Disney's California Adventure Park, and that is consider upgrading to the Disney Genie Plus. Now, it's the second time I've mentioned the Disney Genie Plus, and I don't want you guys thinking that I'm upselling you, right? Because if you go and you watch my Disney World videos, I don't think I've ever mentioned, possibly upgrading to the Disney Genie Plus in Disney World, honestly. But out here in California, I feel very differently about it. And I feel differently about it for 2 reasons, right? The first is that it allows you, or Disney allows you to purchase the Disney Genie Plus in advance, which I think there's a benefit to that, right? It's more convenient and you can really plan around that. You don't have to wait till midnight to purchase the Disney Genie and then log on at 7 a.m. to make your first ride selection. The way it works is you could purchase in advance, and then at park opening, you have to be at the park to make your first selection, right? The other reason why I'm saying possibly consider it is because I actually think that it works out here in California. It works a lot better than it does in Disney World in Florida. Now, I'm at Disney California Adventure, as you can probably guess, and I've used it on 3 of the most popular rides. I've used it on Guardians of the Galaxy, I used it on the Incredicoaster, and then I used it on Soarin', right? So those are 3 of, some of the most popular rides here in the park. In Disney World, in my opinion, that doesn't happen. Pretty much you're gonna use it at 1, maybe 2 of the most popular rides, and it's 2 o'clock right now. I mean, I'm going to continue using it, and I'm going to continue going on the popular rides, and that's one of the reasons why we'd say consider it, and you'll see. I'm probably going to include this one in the Disneyland tips and tricks video as well. For this next Disneyland California Adventure tip and trick, we would say to make sure to make your Disney dining reservations in advance before you get to the parks. Now, also the other really, really cool thing that I love about Disneyland versus Florida is that both parks essentially have now a waitlist sort of dining option where you can jump on the Disneyland app, the Disney World app, and you can pretty much look and see if there's any available seating at the sit-down restaurants on the fly, same day. I, from my experience, have a lot better success out here, but I've had really, really good success getting, same day sit-down reservations, and I think part of it has to do with just this is more of a local park, right? Many people just go and they'll do quick service, or they're here all the time, so they might not be doing the sit-down dining. So if you did not have a chance to grab your dining and you want to still take advantage of that, be sure to check out the same day dining option, pretty much the walk-up wait list when you're in the parks. So the next Disneyland California adventure tip and trick would be to give some thought to the amount of days that you want to spend in the park. Now again, I'm talking about Disney World a lot, but of course this video is for families who have never been out to Disneyland, maybe never been to Disney World, but this is specifically coming over to Disneyland, right? In case you have been to Disney World. It's a completely different beast. It's a completely different ball game. You don't need as many days out in California as you do in Florida. I love that. What I would say though is, plan accordingly. Now, the other interesting thing, and I'll probably mention it in this video at some point, so I might be mentioning it again, is that the park hours are different as well. So Disneyland has not extended, but Disneyland stays open later during a lot of the time of the year, right? So today, for example, when I'm here, the parks opened up at 8 o'clock this morning, and over in Disneyland Park specifically, it's gonna be open until midnight tonight, right? That's a long day. So if you're planning to do one park per day, that Disneyland base ticket, can you do everything in Disney's California Adventure Park? Yes, you probably can, right? But that is a long day. If you're used to those Disney World days where it's really like 8-10 hours, or even if you just want more of a laid back vibe, I would say this is really a perfect day and a half park. But give some thought to how many days you plan to spend in the park, and I promise you it will help your vacation go that much more smoother. Okay, so another very important tip and trick when visiting Disney California Adventure. This isn't really a trick. I guess this is more so of a fact. Again, if you're used to Walt Disney World in Florida, Disney's California Adventure is pretty much the EPCOT of Disneyland. Essentially, you can grab great drinks. They have a lot of really, really amazing food. So, if you're adults visiting Disneyland, this is essentially the park that you have to visit. Another tip and trick when visiting Disney's California Adventure Park is to be familiar with the different festivals that Disney will host throughout the year. So again, very similar to EPCOT out on the East Coast, California Adventure will have a couple festivals throughout the year. Specifically, they have the Food and Wine Festival, they have the Festival of the Holidays, and then they also have Lunar New Year Festival. So if any of those things sound like something that you would enjoy, specifically, I've been out here. The only one I've ever been to is the Lunar Festival. It was amazing, had some really, really great food. That one was right around February. Food and Wine Festival is typically around the spring, and then Festival of the Holidays, you could probably guess when that is. That is around Christmas time. But just be familiar with them. If you are into the festivals in EPCOT, definitely come check them out in California Adventure. And so that is it, everyone. Those are the best tips and tricks for visiting Disney's California Adventure Park. I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that you learned a thing or two, and you are as prepared as possible, and you're excited for your next Disneyland vacation. And if you are in the process of planning a Disneyland trip and you need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video, and until next time, I will talk to you soon.